Hello YouTubers, Trons here. It's been a while since I made a Minecraft video, but this morning, Snapshot for 1.11 has come out with all the new features that were announced at MineCon, and I've made a interesting music playing device back here using some of those new features. So it's just a video to show what I made. It's not a tutorial or anything. I'm sure lots of new interesting machines will be made with the new features. So let's get right to it. This is sort of a music playing machine. This is basically a simple version. I'm sure people can take this idea, make it smaller than I have here. I'll explain why it's so huge in just a minute, and make some improvements. Right now there's a limit on how quickly notes can be played. There's ways around that, some easy, maybe some not so easy, but basically I have all the notes here from the lowest to the highest, and they can get activated. But how are we going to activate them? Well, I am using the new Shulker Boxes. Now, if you didn't realize or didn't know, Shulker Boxes are basically chests. Well, I'm in creative, so it doesn't really matter. But they're chests that you can put things in, and then when you break them, they drop, and you put them somewhere else, and they still have their content. So what I am doing is I am using the box here as sort of a program or a playlist, or basically I have it so that these colors of wool represent the different notes that the music boxes can play, from low, getting higher, and then the wool represents the first octave, and then it's basically the same colors but now in hardened clay, representing the second octave that the note blocks can play. And in this case, I'm using glass as a rest. Really, it can be anything. And basically, you can put one of these Shulker boxes into this minecart with chest. This one, as I showed, it just basically plays a scale and then the highest and lowest notes again. And that minecart will come up here. Now the Shulker box as items work just like any other item, so it'll be sucked into the hopper. You'll go to the dispenser. Dispensers actually will place them. Then the items will filter into this, like that. And then we basically have an item sorter that picks out the different notes. And I had to do a little bit of playing here, but it sends the notes down here as pulses, and then we'll hear the music. Now, as the notes went up, they seemed evenly spaced, but the last one, to me, sounds... it should have been directly after the highest one, or the second time the highest one played, but it's delayed for some reason. Now, I know in some earlier 1.11 snapshots, some people were showing or indicating that there was some timing differences now in 1.11 compared, to earlier, like 1.10 and 1.9. I believe they had made some changes. I don't know if it was due to lag or what, but I am also noticing that a little later I'll show you another song where two notes happen to occur at the same time, but it shouldn't happen. Basically, what this huge area is for is hoppers should move an item every 4 redstone ticks. So because of that, this note here if I wanted to play it right after this note, well, because the item has to move further before being detected, it's going to be 4 ticks later than it should have been. Basically, that's probably, let's do, if these are 2 blocks, this one will, if this is detecting this color, it will drop in. But if this one detects this color, it's got to move 2 spots or 8 ticks later before it will be detected, when I really want it to play 4 ticks later because it's the next block. Basically, I want the notes every 4 ticks, let's say. Well, I mean, that's how it works. So, because this was 4 ticks after this one, and this one is 8 ticks after the first one, and this one is 12 ticks, basically each one is another 4 ticks later, I add, well, compared to this line has 4 ticks more delay, and this one has 4 ticks more delay than this one, and this one has 4 ticks more delay, all the way here. And I'm actually doing that as 4 repeaters because of reasons, which let's show reasons right now. This is going to pulse, and this will play a note when it gets a pulse. This will pulse every other tick. If I place and delete the torch right. But you can see, or hear, it only played once. Now these are pulsing, but for some reason this last one isn't. I don't know why that is. I don't know when that changed. I would think it would pulse and that this would make a quick beating sound. It doesn't. So this is... The way this works is basically, this is a standard item filter. Actually, this is Impulse's design, I believe, where you have 41 items, and this is 3 long instead of being 2 long. But basically, these won't overflow. It's overflow proof, and just by coming out here, all the items then will drain down. Well, right now it's to a chest here. I was kind of hoping to have another shulker chest here, but I realized it's not going to put the notes back in the same order, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I believe these work by, or when it works, you get a either 2 or 3 tick long pulse here, which opens and sucks one item out. But trying to send that down, we would basically get this same issue where even though it was 2 on and 2 off, like if you played the same note repeatedly, this last one would get stuck on. So my solution to that, and I tried a few things, but by having a piston here, it turns it into 1 off, or 1 on and 3 off, and then you don't get that repeater staying on effect. At least not down at the end. So, because it's only a 1 on tick, if it was a 2 on tick, just like this is 1 on, 1 off, 2 on and 2 off seem to cause the same issue. Again, let me... Well, if you had everything at 2, it would cause an issue, but maybe putting the last one at 1 could have worked. My fix. Use a piston here. It sends down 1 tick pulses down these 1 tick repeaters, and after having these have less repeaters, and so they skip ahead. They catch up, even though it took a whole bunch of extra ticks to get over to their correct filter position, and you get music. So let's copy a few of these. This was the original scale. This is scale 2, which basically if this is the piano sound, it does all the white keys on the piano, and then comes back from C to the upper C, or the C of the second octave, down to the C of the first octave. So it's a scale and a reverse scale. Now, the way I have this set up is hopefully, well, not hopefully, it does work this way. When there are no more items detected, the piston will automatically break the shulker box by pushing it, and then place the second one down. For some reason, in this case, the gray one gets output first, and then the white one will be placed. I don't know why that is. I put the white one in the first slot. It should pull from the first slot. And then now here's the original one that does all the notes, the original scale, which I played before. Again, though, that one takes long for some reason. Here is Happy Birthday. I mean, it actually kind of looks pretty. Here, you'll hear one of the notes will come early and basically play at the same time as one of the other notes. So, I'm not sure why that is. Again, I think that's something to do with just how the hopper timing has changed. Interestingly enough, the minecart will come back about the same time it takes the notes to come back. So here's the song. You can hear how some of the notes overlapped a bit, and yet when I did the scale, there wasn't an issue. So I'm not sure why that is. Hoppers can only move one item at a time, so I don't see how the notes would ever overlap. But hey, it was a little song. But again, it was a little song. So let's do something a little bigger. Now these, for some strange reason, will come out in the correct order. Again, I don't know why the white ones don't. I don't know how you get the colored shells. This is the basic default color. I'm not sure if there's going to be recipes to dye them, or if we'll start seeing shulkers spawn with different colors. But like I said, these will, for whatever reason, come out in the correct order. Here's the notes to the first 3 lines of the song. It's easier not to fill all the spaces. They'll get skipped anyway. And then here's the notes for the other 3 lines. It's actually a pretty simple song because these are the first 2 lines repeated, and the 2 middle lines are identical also. After this, I'll show you how it switches, and that will be basically this little video. Well, I say little, but it's gone on actually quite a while. The other neat thing, though, is that these repeaters do kind of form a visualization, so you can actually kind of see the notes coming towards you. There we go. So let's just take the first two again. And I'll show you how the switching works. Basically, well, like I said, it detects the items when they finally disappear. It triggers. So there's something in here. It causes this to come down, but when it empties out, this will come back on, which triggers this, and then a fraction of a second later triggers the dispenser. You can see how these, for just a tick, activate. Maybe it is 2 ticks, but you know, this is just an item filter. I have sticks, and then white wool, pink, red. I basically went in color order, yellow, etc., 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 all the way to the end. As long as the Shulker box isn't empty when it gets placed, this gets powered, which depowers this torch, which makes this pulse limiter reset. When it does empty, the torch goes out. When it does empty, this goes out, the torch comes on, which powers this, but for 1 tick, we have an output here. It pulses the piston. Piston retracts just as the dispenser here is activated, which outputs the next box. 1 tick, 2 ticks, 3 ticks, 4 ticks. It basically adds a single rest into the song, and then the next item is pulled out and put through the item filter, or, you know, in this case it's note selector, but, you know, it's basically an item filter. Theoretically, you could have one of these for each instrument. So you have piano, bass, drum. There's actually 5 different sounds depending on, here we go, depending on the material you're on. Yeah. So you can have one for each of those. However, that allows you to play only 1 note every 4 ticks. That's okay for slow songs. For faster songs, you might want to double that, or, you know, have it every tick or something. I'm not sure how you would do that directly, because hoppers only move every 4 ticks. What you could do is have 4 of these for each instrument and have it set up so that one is activated, then a tick later the next one is activated, and those are used for the notes 1 tick later, then a tick later the next one is activated, then 1 tick later the last one is activated, and then 1 tick after that the second item will be pulled out of the first one. And that would work as well. That would, you know, get you basically able to play a note every single redstone tick, assuming the hoppers are actually stabilized and always work every 4 ticks, which this kind of shows evidence of that actually not occurring. But that would be one way of doing it. The thing that I like about this setup is that you can stand in one location and be relatively close to all the note blocks. Even if you did 5 different instruments, you could have these just stacked on top of each other, so all the note blocks would be basically in a wall right here. A lot of music playing machines I've seen, you either have to be in creative mode and fly, or walk along a path along, because there's redstone that activates note blocks and it kind of goes in a snaking pattern, or you may ride a minecart that takes you along. Then of course you have the minecart noise. You can turn that off, but here you can stand in one location, and as long as this is built correctly, even has multiple instruments, they could come in from different sides, or like I said, be stacked, and you'd have a big wall of note blocks, and you're relatively close to all the note blocks all the time, and so they will have equal loudness. So that's one feature of this design. Kind of a drawback is, yeah, millions of repeaters, although, as I just found out while recording this, maybe you can do 2 ticks, which would half the length of this, and still work. This is just some of the stuff I was testing. I actually thought of this idea after MineCon, actually on Monday, and so I started building some test stuff, just using chests and creative mode to pick up and place the chests with some things in notes in them. This actually works pretty well, in that you can put, well, I don't need that many, but so I thought at first I would have a filter, and then it would lead into this circuit, which would actually give off the signal. But then I found I could just take a output directly off of the filter, and I wouldn't need something like this. I looked for an item counter, and this is the schematic I found. Well, not really, not a schematic, but it's what I found, and I forgot who built it. I was attempting, I don't remember even what this attempt was. Wasn't working out well. This turned out to be narrow. I could have, it would have been hard to stack them next to each other, but it might be doable, because the side input doesn't actually seem to matter in this case, because that would be a 15 power. If it was less than 15, that would be a problem. But it turned out that just having the item filter by itself, you can, it's possible to get an output off of there. I tried a few things. This is what worked out for me, but apparently maybe I could have done something else directly without the piston. It's not a problem. You're far enough away that you don't hear the pistons, even if you half this length by using the 2-tick repeaters. So that's this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspires you to make some new interesting items with new interesting machines, I should say, with the Shulker Boxes. They also have a really nice animation, and apparently something that I didn't really try, but I did see in some other people's videos, is you can put them on walls. They even have a really cool texture on the bottom. And they push you. Or at least they should push you. If I'm standing here, you can see I went up. Would have thought they would have pushed you sideways. Maybe if it's at your feet. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's hard to see when you're right against it, but it does push you even sideways. And you can even put them on other ones. Interesting. And I haven't even played with the observer block yet. I mean, I don't really use buds too much in my builds, but I have it a few cases where I need them. But I've generally used the traditional, piston that thinks it's powered but isn't, or it is thinks it is powered but isn't, or is powered but thinks it's not. But I'm sure people will also make interesting things with the observer block. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.